Howdy y'all, welcome back to another episode of Toothless TV. Doing it a little bit different today because yesterday we tried making a video out on the water and it was so darn hot that my cameras kept overheating, couldn't get any pictures. Needless to say, I overheat a little bit myself. It was unbearable out there. But for this sort of video, I thought it would be cool to do a more what I plan on doing when I go out to the lake. What my map study is, what I plan to look for, stuff like that, to help you guys get an idea of what you can do if you're experiencing fishing on a new lake, or maybe you're just a weekend angler, hasn't been out there in a while, and this way you can kind of have an idea of what works in my mind and what seemed to have worked for me, especially what has worked for me this past year doing my tournament season. A lot of map study goes into this. So needless to say, let's get into it. Real quick guys, if you enjoy this sort of content, please comment, like, and subscribe down below. Our goal this year is to get to 1,000 subscribers. I know we're a little far away, but hey, if we can even beat 500, we're halfway there. I appreciate it, thank you. We're gonna do two different lakes today. We're gonna do Beaver Lake, which is the old classic standby. And we're also gonna do Grand Lake, which is what we tried to do yesterday. But like I said, it was a little bit too hot. But anyway, we'll start with Grand Lake and then we'll go on to Beaver Lake. So let me just front up conditions that we're experiencing right now. Hot weather, bluebird skies, not a lot of wind. This is dog days of summer. So this is what you gotta look out for. This is what I plan on doing when I go out on the lake. So let's start out on Grand Lake. So if you look here on Navionics, which is the app that I'm using, is Navionics. You can use whatever map lake breakdown app that you have, but I think Navionics is the best one. And sometimes I'll put stuff on here the night before a fishing day, and then I just bring it up on my boat, find my waypoints, put them in my fish finder, and I'm off to go. All right, so here we go on Grand Lake of the Cherokees. This is where we're gonna start. This is where I put in at Wolf Creek, right up here. So first things first, what we're going to look for is the creek channel. As you can see here, we have a creek channel that runs all the way through. Right there, it's showing up about 45 foot deep, that creek channel right here. So this time of year, what you're going to look for is offshore ledges, humps, look for rock piles, brush piles, things of that nature that fish and bait fish will hold on to. So first things first, we got out of Wolf Creek. This is Sailboat Bridge here. Let's go ahead and look over here. Okay, so as you can see, we got the Neosho River right there running through the middle of it. And right here we come off on our first ledge / hump. So right there you can see the ledge. Easiest way to tell of the ledge are the contour lines that are close together. That means it's either a sharp drop off or a sharp rise, vice versa. Okay, so as you can see right here, we got a nice quick ledge here. That's a great area to look up on, and you can duplicate this pattern as well. Fish will either set up on the bottom of the ledge or they'll set up on the top. Sometimes they'll be, fish will either set up on the top of the ledge or they'll be suspended on the drop off of the ledge, more towards this area here. Okay, as we got here, we also have a great hump. That's a great area to look for. Navionics right here went ahead and pointed that out for us, a channel swing hump. But this is a great area to look for. Look for bait fish, look for brush, and then go ahead and look for your bass that are under there as well, obviously. So as we work our way down the lake here, we see we got a nice little ledge right here. We go up to 13 foot of water all the way down to 62. Me personally, what I like to do, I don't like to do these minimal drop-offs. As you can see over here, 35 foot into 60. I know that sounds like a big drop-off, but when you're cranking or you're throwing out a spoon or you're throwing out a football head half-ounce jig, and these are kind of the sort of summer baits that you're going to be using this time of year, you don't want to be waiting 2 minutes for your lure to fall all the way down to the bottom. So what I like to do is hit up these shallower ledges here, and that way I can work my bait, you know, either from the channel swing up onto the ledge or vice versa. But either way, I won't have to wait that long for it to drop. Sometimes also what you can do, so say we have this spot marked here, right there at 13 foot. That's the top of that hump right there off that ledge. So what we'll do is we'll angle our boat right here, and we will cast into the ledge like this right there, and you'll work your bait up that entire way. And what that does is keep your bait in the strike zone just a little bit longer, so hopefully you can get a bite. This would be perfect for a football head jig or a big old flutter spoon. And that's the most fun bite right now, is that flutter spoon. All right, so working down our way here. This is all what I was planning on doing yesterday on Grand. I did scout out a little bit of it, and there were quite a bit of fish in this area. But anyway, let's work our way down the lake here. Here we got some spots that I marked here. So this is the channel swing right here going on in some coves. As you can see, we got a nice hump right here, and also a pattern that's not half bad this time of year going into the fall is ditches. And what a ditch is let me show you here. A ditch is this, or drain, they're also called. The ditch and drain is going to go right into here. It's that deep water, basically a mini creek channel that goes into your cove or creek channel or whatever you want to call it. But it goes into here. So what the fish will do, especially in the early mornings, they'll use these ditches and drains to go in and out during the day, and then in the morning and the afternoon during their feeding windows, they'll get up on these structures. They'll get up on this hump. They'll get up on this nice flat tapering point. They'll get up on this saddle right here. You can see we got a saddle going in between the two. These are perfect locations that you're going to look up to find bass this time of year, really all the way up into the fall, especially since those bait fish will be spawning closer to the fall when we get our first little cold fronts. All right, working our way down. I'm just giving you guys a couple ideas, a couple real life examples of what I'm looking for. All right, so as we work in here, this is a great idea. This is a great spot right here. As you can see, we got that channel swing coming all the way in, wrapped around. Let me zoom out here so you guys can see. So what you'll see right here over by this submerged bridge as it's going out into that point, you see how that's the land right here. This is the land marked up against that. So that will be a bluff wall. That'll be a giant mountain that you see off the side of the creek there. And what you want to look for on those bluff walls, sometimes you'll see fish suspended along the bluff wall, maybe in standing timber and stuff. But sometimes that can be a difficult pattern to follow. You really need to use suspending baits, jerk bait, swim bait. Keep that flutter spoon just right there in the right area. It's not the easiest bait to fish doing this pattern, and there's other stuff you can do. So what I like to do is look right where you see that big bluff wall, those contour lines marking right there, and then you got this nice point here going off into the bay. That is going to be your bluff transition bank, and that's what you're going to want to point out there. A bluff transition bank is a great spot where fish will hold up really all year long, but especially in this summertime pattern in the heat. They will start off in the middle of the day right there on that bluff wall, and then either in the morning or in the afternoon, just like in the humps and the ditches, they'll move out onto this point. Look for brush piles, look for rock piles, standing timber, any of that structure. That'll help you find bass and bait fish. All right, working our way down, I'll just show you a couple more examples on Grand Lake here. Let's go down to, this is good here, this is Honey Creek. Honey Creek was a great spot in my BFL here. So granted, in the spring we were a little bit farther down into the creek, but this time of year, okay, so as you can see, we got the creek channel going around here, but this is a great example. We have a secondary channel going in to the creek. That's forming Honey Creek. So as you can see, we got that creek channel going right on in. That's a secondary channel. So what you'll look for are the same thing you look for on the main lake, channel swings, all that sort of stuff with the secondary. So this is a great spot right here. As you can see, we got that channel swing coming right up here. This was probably a big old flat right here with a ditch going into it. So all this right here is probably a good area, early morning, late afternoon. And then as you're getting into the middle of the day, this is what you're gonna wanna be checking out, this deep structure right here, right off that secondary channel, creek bed right there. So you graph all this over here, you got a nice little hump. Okay, you'll graph that, look for, like I said, standing timber, rock piles. More so, what I seem to find on my humps are brush piles, which is what I really like to fish this time of year. I think it's an easy target to look at. It's easy to think about in your mind, because if you're flipping a jig or flipping a Texas rig worm, what are you doing? You're fishing brush, you're fishing laydowns. So what you do is you go left, right of that, of your brush, and then maybe one or two casts right into it. If you're fishing off the bank, you take that same mentality and you fish offshore like that. Fish to the left of it, fish to the right of it, fish over top of it, and then get you a jig or something a little weedless and work your way through that brush. You do 4 or 5 casts on that, you're done. You got that brush pile figured out, you got it under control, you know if there's fish on there or if there's not. Okay. So we're working our way down here. You see that creek channel is going in just a little bit. Now this might be a little tougher this time of year. As you can see, the creek channel goes along this way. But I know just from experience, you guys who go out on Grand Lake, this right here is a great point. You see there, they got a house foundation down here. Navionics is nice enough to point that out, but there is a ton of brush all along this point here, and it's right off the main lake. It's a really good, flat, long, tapering point. Bass love that sort of stuff all year long, but especially in the summer and this early fall transition. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm going to show you guys on Grand Lake, stuff to look out for. One more thing before we get off of Grand Lake. Is if you find any sort of water inlet where you see creek beds coming in, or any sort of water flow coming in to that creek, that's going to be a productive creek. For example, you can see right here, you got water coming in here. Okay, now I'm not telling you to go all the way up here, because there's not going to be any bass up there this time of year. Not a good congregation, but that gives you a good idea that there is fresh water coming in to Honey Creek here, and that's going to be a great creek to go into with that fresh water coming in from a secondary source other than just the main lake secondary creek channel. Okay, so let's make our way over to Beaver Lake, the old stomping grounds. We'll see if we can find some fish there. Okay, working our way over to Beaver Lake here. I know we got a lot of waypoints here. Beaver Lake here, this is where I like to spend the majority of my time here, all the way up to Horseshoe Bend, all the way over to Prairie Creek Marina, as you can see up here. But what I've noticed this time of year, and honestly, even the early spring, this was a great pattern, a great section of the lake. Early spring, pre-spawn, not the spawn. Spawn was better down here. But regardless, if you stay in this mid-lake area, deeper water, clearer water, those are the two things I'm looking for right now at this time of year. The reason being, you're looking for deeper water, clearer water, that's colder water. So that's where these bass are going to be staying. Now granted, this part of the lake, on this specific lake on Beaver, you're going to get more spotted bass, and you're also going to get more smallmouth than largemouth in this area. But to each their own, I think they're all fun to catch. So let's give a little example here. As you can see right here, there's a well-defined creek channel running all the way through this mid-lake area, okay? So a great pattern is what I like to run are humps. It's an easy easy pattern to notice on this while you're doing it. So for example, let's just show you right here. Imagine this is your first time going out on beaver. Everyone hears beaver's a tough lake to fish, and it is, but this is an easy way to figure it out. Okay, so you got your creek channel here, real deep water, 121 foot. We're not casting in that, but what do we have coming close to this 121 foot range? We got a 15 foot hump right here. That is a great area to graph around and look for stuff. Now granted, right here Navionics tells us we got a house foundation, but that doesn't mean that's all that's there. You might have some brush down in 27 feet, 32 foot. You might have it all the way down here in this deeper flat. That's probably going to be about the deepest I fish, 40 some foot. Also depends on your thermocline. Beaver Lake definitely has a thermocline in it, and that's the first thing you want to do when you get out there on the lake is figure out where your thermocline is, put your 2D on, bump your gain up, your sensitivity as high as you can. You'll see a real defined thermocline. This can be different on different lakes, different sections of your lake. So wherever you're planning on fishing, check that thermocline out. Fish are not going to be below that thermocline. Okay, so that's a great spot to go there. We got another little hump right here. You see that circle? It's a little deeper than I'd probably fish, but why not? Why not graph over it? All this right here, I would not go to. Not this time of year. Now in the fall, when you got a nice overcast day, cold front blew through, this might be a great area. Graph all that over there. This might be a great area for suspended fish. They get on those long flats. But what you're going to do is you're going to go over here. We're just going to look. What do we got here? Check that out. Nice point that goes all the way out with a hump. Look at that. Double hump right there. Don't have to tell you what that looks like. Double hump right here. Graph all this. Nice drop off right into the main creek channel. This is a prime area. I know for a fact that there's brush piles around here, and I know for a fact I've caught them. You're going to do the same sort of baits as you did on Grand. Obviously, pick towards your water clarity. Darker water, you're going to want brighter colors. This sort of clear water, you're going to go more clear, translucent, smaller baits, shiny, stuff like that. Okay, work our way down. Okay, now for example, I know that this right here is a productive hump. But this time of year, that's not where they're going to be. The reason being, look how far away that creek channel is. Now granted, you got that swing right here, but I have not had many fish go on here. Maybe on a really windy day, you might have it because the wind will blow that bait fish into there, but this is not somewhere that you would really look at. It's too far away from that creek channel. There's better things you can do. Now, say you're over here. What do we got here? Big creek channel going right in. Big creek channel going right in. What is this going to be right here with those tight contour lines? That's going to be another bluff wall. Big bluff wall. Now, that's going to be good to look at. This point right here where it's tapering off, that might be a good area. Do a little graphing right by the hump. This might be good. I doubt they're going to work their way up here, but this will be good right here. You can do it also on the other side, vice versa. Check that out. What do we got? Navionics, amazing. Shows you that dock right there. This is probably an amazing dock to pitch into. Throw a big swim bait into, something just to get those bass around there. I guarantee you there's some brush piles around this dock right here, okay? Shade. Dock's holding shade. That's where these fish are on this time of year. They're just like us. They don't want to be in the bright sun. They don't want to be in the heat. They don't want to be overheating. That dock's going to be great right there in that deep water. All right, let's just work our way down a little bit more just to give you another few examples here. So we got that real defined creek channel. I'll show you this two more examples here that are going to be good. So we got that creek channel going right through here, 120, 118 foot. What do we got right here beside it? Nice long point with 3 different humps right on top of it, really 4. You got 13 foot hump right there, 26 foot, 19, and then a 13, 14 foot hump right there. This is a great area that you're gonna wanna graph. Great area to find. Look at all that stuff. Navionics is already marked for you. You got some fishing stuff. Whatever that is, production storage area. I mean, there is stuff under this water that you're going to want to check out, and you're going to want to get some offshore fishing going. Lastly, see, we got a nice big creek channel right here turning into, and you got that big tapering point with a big old hump. So you'll fish that saddle right there. That's where they'll hold up, in that middle deep water. That's perfect. That way they can go in and out of their channel swing, go right on in there. All right, guys. So those are just a few examples of what I would look for if I was going out fishing this time of year. You can duplicate this sort of pattern on any sort of highland or lowland reservoir. So, but anyway, I appreciate you guys staying till the end of the video. Hopefully this helps you out. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you guys like these sort of videos. They're definitely a lot easier to make. I wouldn't mind doing a few more. It's fun to educate, let everybody know. But anyway, I appreciate it. Y'all stay tuned to the next one. Once again, this is Toothless TV. We're out.